Hello, everyone, and very good afternoon to all the attendees that have joined us for the fourth session of the Partner Digital Enablement Program. Today, the topic that we are going to discuss about is Google Analytics and Search Console. And the session will be taken by my colleagues, Priyesh Kumar and Siko Castellino. So I can see few attendees are still joining in to this particular webinar. So we will use this time to go through some ground rules. First and foremost, our humble request to everyone who have joined in, be it partners from India, be it our Tally Institute of Learning, partners from India or partners from the Middle East. As we have probably told you time and again, this is a series of webinars which is happening against the Partner Digital Enablement Program. So therefore, we have attendees whose experience in digital marketing range from probably at a starting level. And also there are a fair amount of partners who have gone on to advanced levels as well. So this webinar considers the fact that everybody is here to learn more about digital marketing, and therefore we will try to keep the content very generic. We'll try to keep our responses to questions also very generic so that it serves the larger good. Another point that I would like to mention here is that each and every webinar is recorded. And after recording it, we send the recordings to the attendees. And also all the questions that are generally asked during the webinar, we try to answer most of them and send you the answers of those questions as well. So do not worry, the webinar is being recorded, and probably in a few days, as soon as the webinar ends, we'll be sending across the recording to you. Another pointer that I would like to leave everyone with is that as soon as this webinar ends, there will be a feedback form which appears. My request to everyone is to please fill up the feedback form so that you can let us know how you like the presentation. You can let us know about whether the content was covered up to your satisfaction, or probably if there is something else that we could have covered. All those things we'll be able to get to know, and then we'll be able to improve the content of our presentation next time round. So the time right now is 3:02 p.m. I can still see a lot of attendees who are trying to come on board. So what we'll do is we'll probably wait on for a couple of more minutes. And I think around 3:04 or probably 3:05 p.m., we'll actually start the broadcast. Okay. This is for the benefit of all those who have joined us in the past couple of minutes. Today, we are going to have the fourth session on Google Analytics and Search Console. Few disclaimers before we start the webinar. First of all, this webinar is being recorded, so do not worry. We will send the webinar recording later to you once this webinar gets over. We will surely send that across to you. We will also try to answer most of the questions that many of you may have about the various topics. Second is, please do not forget to fill up the survey that appears at the end of the webinar, as that really helps us to improve the content and also to improve our presentation for the next set of webinars. And also, just a disclaimer for everyone who's attending from India, from the Middle East, is that this is an enablement series, and therefore the idea here is to pretty much ensure that we cover those topics in a generic fashion so that it is beneficial to the larger good who are trying to understand how to proceed as far as digital marketing is concerned. So yes, the time right now is 3:05. I will now hand over control to our first presenter for today, Mr. Priyesh Kumar, who will take you through the content of this webinar. Thank you so much. Over to Priyesh.
Thanks, Mohammed, for the introduction, and hello everyone. I'm Priyesh Kumar. As I mentioned in my earlier webinar, that I take care of SEO and most of the website analysis part. So Google Analytics and Google Console is one of them. So to start with, I'm pretty much sure everybody must be like, what is the role of Google Analytics here, right? So what I can probably suggest is, so every time your website loads, once you land to any particular website, there are few JavaScripts that loads on your website script, which let Google understand that there is a there are some activities happen on the particular website, and which collects the data and show it up and store in the Google Analytics, which helps us to understand the how we can use those data in our daily routine in terms of what kind of a content we should deliver, what kind of content is being most used by the internet user, and how they are engaged with it, and how we can improve it further for our to scale up in the search engine result page. Right. Okay. So I'll quickly. So okay. So we don't have any presentation as such on this because Google Analytics is a tool which I will take you guys through as a live session on how to set up a Google Analytics, how to create an account, and how you can probably use the data once it start tracking. Right. Okay. I hope everyone can see my screen, which is Google Analytics as home screen as of now. Okay, so Google Analytics, how to create an account. See, I have already have account in my email ID through this email ID, right? So I cannot show you how it looks from initial page. So it's very simple and it's very basic. It just asks you to sign up. So once you sign up, you will land on this particular page, wherein you have to answer or you have to give information about your website on what kind of website you have, what is the name of it, and how you can take it forward. Before that, I would just suggest just to add here one more thing. Google Analytics consists of three things. One is account, which can which can be considered as an account can have multiple properties, and a one properties can have multiple views as well. So account, so this is the one what I'm creating now is in name of an account. So for example, let's say I say test, right? Okay. So yes, keep this Google product and services checked in, benchmarking, technical support, and account specialist. So once you check in all these boxes, when you, let's say in future, if you have any kind of a data query on your account, or if you're not able to see the data properly, so get in touch with the Google support team. What they will do is they will ask you to check these boxes so that they can see see your account and they can troubleshoot it, right? So hence I have just kept the all the checkbox check in and just go next. Now, what have we created? Is it a website? Is it a Android app, or is it an app and a web both? Right. So far we'll go with the very basic thing. Like yes, I have created a website, and I'm gonna create a tracking code for this only. Right. So once I'll just click on this web, go down, say next. Okay, my website name. So account is something that you will give a name as, okay, this is a tally test. Now under tally we have a lot of property. For example, we have blogs, we have GST, we have tally website, we have help, right? But what is it? So this is, let's say I will consider is it as tally webinar test. Okay. Now give the website URL name, right? What is your website URL? So say for example, I say telewebinar.com. Now make sure you always have this option where you will check HTTP and HTTPS. What is the difference between these two? So HTTP is something you are on the unsecured network. Okay, and HTTPS is a secure network where which will be protected by Google. It's a Google service, and even there are a lot of other service provider who give you the who provides you HTTPS access. So I'll say okay, fine, my website is secured, and this is my link, and I'll select the industry. So industry, if I have to select the closest one, I would say. Uh, let's say business, or maybe you have your, okay. So let's say computer and electronics, for example. You can choose the closest one that you have for your account. For example, business software, accounting software. Accounting software, if it is not there, you can consider it as information technology or software. Right? Okay. Reporting time zone. So always remember, when you're selecting any time zone, the tracking will happen based on that. So I always prefer, let's say if my website is of Middle East, or let's say if it is of US or UK, right? So I'll select my time zone based on that. But as of now, I'll just select India. Okay, the timeline will be set here. Okay, so why I have selected India and why I have specifically mentioned that you should select the correct timing is because sorry. So you should always select the timeline, because when the tracking will happen of your website, it will show you based on your timeline. For example, if it is 3 o'clock here, right? So it will show you the data until then, or there might be a chances. Let's say you have added US as your time zone. So at this point of time in US, it might be early in the morning, or maybe it's still like late at night of yesterday. So it will not show you the correct data, or it will show you the data only till the previous day based on the timeline you have selected. So hence select your proper time zone that you are staying, say create, and go here, say terms and condition, set, and just say yeah. Now post this, it will give you your tracking code. So this particular code, what Google have generated and given it to you, it clearly mentions on the top itself, please, this is the global site tag, tracking code for this property. Copy and paste this code as the first item into head. Now, what is heading section? So the moment you're creating a website, so you have header tag, you have body, and then you have footer. So always Google suggests that since your website loads from header to footer, always add your Google Analytics code on the head section of the website. So when the when website loads, the Google Analytics code will load first, and it will obviously optimize and channelize how the website is loading. Whether it takes a lot of time to load, whether there is any problem loading the website, or there are pages which are not exist on. There are few pages which are not opening properly, or it is landing the people on 404 pages. So 404 is not found pages which Google does not find on your web server, and it landed to 404 page. Now once you copied this, you're all set. You just copy paste it on your website, and you will start tracking it here. So I'll just go to one of the account that I have, and probably I'll take you guys from there. All right. So see, as I have mentioned earlier, so under account, we have many properties. Under properties, we have many views. So to see where the tracking code comes from, under property, you have your tracking information. Just go here, and you will see the tracking code. Go back. Now, every time when you create an account, obviously, let's say you might not have time to look at your data every time, but there are agency that you guys have hired who is looking after for your data, for your analytics, who's handling your website details. Now, if you have to ask the access, or let's say you have to grant the access to them, you can probably go here, accounts and user management, take the ID. Let's say you want to add a user, add the username, email ID. Make sure the ID is a Google account. Otherwise, it will not let you process the account or the email ID to access the account, whichever account email ID you are providing. They're not able to access it. It has to be a Google account. Once you give it, let's say I said tally at tally.com. Just an example that it is a Google account, for example, right? So what kind of permission you want to give, right? You have read and analyze where they can see the data, they can read the data, what is being captured in Google Analytics, and they can take the call out of that. Now you have collaboration and edits. So when you say edit and collaboration, these two permissions are basically they can make the edits on the Google Analytics account under view and under property as well. Now you have the most powerful one is manage user. For example, let's say if you have got this admin access, right? So I would always suggest keep this access only with you and give the access as much as possible to read and analyze, so that the third person who is looking at the data should have the only view access to them. They cannot do anything apart from that. They cannot make any kind of changes on your account. Now, once you get the manage access, you will have all the authority to make any kind of a changes on the data. You can remove anyone, you can add anyone, you can take any kind of decision that you want to on this particular account. So once that is done, just add and close. Your job is done. Okay. So this is what the account user management does. Now, I really don't want to get into a very advanced level feature where you will get confused to see, okay, fine, I'm not able to understand this data. So I'll take you the most important thing that will help you to start with your journey on Google Analytics, and which will help you to at least start taking decision based on what data you see. Now, property setting. Under property setting, you can see, okay, this is my tracking ID, which will also get in tracking code. Property name, which is your website ID. What is your default ID? See, I have always mentioned keep your website always as secure, which is HTTPS. And then tellysolution.com. Okay, industry, computer and electronics, as I have mentioned. Advanced setting, UTM is something that I'll take you guys in further journey. Okay, so use enhancement link attribution. Keep this on because it will let Google Analytics collect the data of a user who's coming to your website. So when I say collect the data, it's not personal information that they will collect. It will just collect the information of which place they are coming from, which what kind, whether what is the demographic of that user, and what kind of activity he or she is making on my website. So always keep this on. Uh, Search history doesn't require. Okay, add search console. So we have search console in this webinar as well. So I'll make sure I'll take you how to add a search console on your through Google Analytics. So if you, let's say you have you have added Google Analytics tag or tracking code on your website in the heading section, you don't have to create a separate code for Google console because you can add it from here. So the moment you'll say, okay, fine, adjust the search console, it will ask you a couple of options. So this particular email ID is linked to our search console. Which view you want to enable from here? So I'll say, okay, fine. For me, this is a tally solution, and it has to be, these are the view that has to capture for tally console as well, on search console as well. So you select one which you have and then save it. So what it does is it connects your Google console on your for your website, and it will keep tracking, monitor your website health. So if in case, let's say your website is redirecting a lot of user to a 404 page, or sometime your website is not loading, it will all start throwing on your Google console notification that your website is throwing a lot of 404 page, or maybe server not found error, which you can immediately go and make the adjustment so that it will start appearing or it will resolve that issue right then and there. Once you select that, just say save and you are done. Now, just to mention here, Google and when you are adding Google Console from Google Analytics, you have to verify the account. Now, how will you verify the account? It's very simple. So you have to, once you added it from here, just go to Google Console and say you have to verify this account. So it will ask you, it will give you three options. One, either you upload a HTML tag on your page, or you add HTML snippet, or you verify it via Google Analytics. So what you can choose is Google Analytics, because Google Analytics code is already present on your website. So via Google Analytics, you verify your account and start your Search Console access as well. So I'll tell you when I'll jump to Google Console 2. So this is how you set up your Google Console from Google Analytics. Now, further, these things is the product of Google, which is your which will be really helpful for you when you start creating ads to it. So when I say ads, it means Google AdWords. So we have our upcoming webinars on Google Ads as well, which will be taken by one of our fellow colleague, Zico Castellino, who look after for all the performance marketing, and he will tell you the best practice how to create and how you can enhance your knowledge there. Now coming back to views. Now we have a lot of so we create views based on our requirement. So let's say if I have to take only view of a certain page or specific section of the website, we create a view on it, right? So I'll say, okay, this is a view of this particular property. I'll go, this is the property name. This is my website URL. If you go here, it will tell you, see, so for example, this is my filter which I want to exclude it, right? So these are the filter that you start creating it, or this is the view that you create for your each and every website. Now keep coming. Now this is one of the important part. Let's say if you have site search within your website. So if I have to say how, so if once a user landed to your website and start searching for certain articles or certain product or services that you provide, right? This is when it get used to. So you'll just turn it on and say what parameter you want to track, right? So generally what it happens is, so you provide it as question mark, as you can see, search.erp9. So if someone is searching for ERP9 on your website, it will throw up on your site search section, which I'll take you when I'm taking you through the how you use your website data, and where it will get where it collects the information, right? But as of now, this particular section, what we have as a filter, we don't really need a site search because we don't have it. Now, once you're done, just save it, and you're all set to go for the next one. Now, same user management works here as well. The most important part here is goals. So how goals work? Goals works based on, let's say if you want to track your website leads, or let's say your website have a forms, and also it has certain information that you want to track. So what I will be doing is, I'll just create a goal. Okay, I don't have any goals that I can create because the maximum limit for a view is to create max 20 goals. So as of now, I don't have, but what I'll do is I'll quickly jump to a different account and I'll show you how to create a goal. Now, this is the new goal, which I'll say. Okay, so um, now what am I supposed to do here? I have to create one goal setup. For example, let's say I have a form on my website and I want to track it. Now so what would be mine? So I'll say custom. Continue. What is the goal name? I'll say uh, contact lead, right? Okay, contact lead was what is the destination? Now, from a on your website, you have a form on the contact us page, which will collect all the information about the user, which will okay, so which will not get stored in Google Analytics, but it will get stored in your website data, right? Database. You have to go to database and you see the information of all the user what they have filled up. So Google Analytics never collect any kind of information of your email ID, your personal information about, let's say, even if it is an e-commerce website, it will never track your credit card details, neither name or something, but just see the number, what you want to pass it on. Now, just to say here, I'm taking information about the contact details. Now I'll say, okay, fine, it has a destination. What is the destination? So once the user fills up the form completely, they will be taken to a thank you page. So this is the destination of my thank you page. Say continue. It will ask you what is the thank you page link. I'll say my thank you page information is // thank you done. This is the thank you page URL for my website. Now you must be wondering why I have not given my complete website URL, because all the information about your website URL is being already been passed on your accounts and property. So you really don't have to define the same thing again on your thank you before thank you. So your website URL is already there. You just have to give the slug of your particular thank you page, which is what I'm considering as thank you, and just say you're done. Let's say, and values and funnel is optional. Funnel is being created only when, let's say, you have multiple variants. For example, what is the first thing? I'll say, okay, contact us page, right? Contact. Now you can add another multiple steps that you have, for example, telephone number, so and forth. But remember one thing: when you create steps, you also have to generate a lot of virtual page views, which is very advanced technique, and you can take the help. You have to take the help of a website developer who will help you to create this. Now, once you've done this, say, is it required? I'll say yes. This is my page URL, and I'll say verify the goal. So once you verify, let's say if you have this information already available on your website, so once you verify it, it will show you data here that yes, this goal is fine and you can take it through. Which obviously my website right now doesn't have any, right? I'll say save, and it's all done, right? So all this data will start getting stored on your Google Analytics. I will show you where it will get recorded, where what all data you need, and how you can channelize this. Now, so most of these things are your very advanced level in terms of when you are setting up your e-commerce and advanced e-commerce analytics. That's when you need all this detail. Now, but one of these things is filters. What is filter do? It filters out a very specific or very, it plays a really good role when they have to track your website details. Now let's say you don't want to track your own visits on your own website. So what you do is you create a filter and add your IP address here so that you can exclude your traffic on your website. For example, I'll say exclude internal traffic. I'll say okay, redefine, exclude, select the source. I'll say okay, find my IP address. Select expression. It data equals to let's so how you find your IP? You just type in Google what is my IP address and it will throw up on your So Ashil, this is your IP address. So this is my IP address, and I'll add it up top, and I'll just save it. So once you save it, it will not track any kind of traffic that is coming from this particular IP addresses. Now, just to give you a small idea, um, so it depends time to time which internet are you using, whether it's static or it's uh, dynamic. So every time your IP address gets changed if you're using the dynamic, for example, Wi-Fi, right? Once you turn off your computer and turn on your system, the IP gets changed, right? So most of the time, what happens is it check the server link. So how will you check that? You can probably go to your router setting and see your IP address. So use that IP address to exclude your own traffic on your website. Once you have added your IP address, say save, and you're all set to explore your website detail. Now, so let's start with real time. For that, I'll take you through my account. Okay, cool. So you can see I've just selected Tally India as account that I can probably give you guys how things getting generated, how things getting tracked here. So right now I can see there are so many people out there on my website, and what kind of device they're using. There are 78 people percent of 79% of people who are from desktop. Then you have 21% of people who are from mobile, and tablet is 1%, which is, you can see a slight small thin line of blue which coming from tablet. You can see the top active pages here. You can see top refill. I'll tell you guys the technical definition of each and everything once we go to further places like audiences and so and forth. Right? We have social traffic, the top keywords that is there, what is the location people are coming from, right? So everything is there. Now, how will you check this data? Okay. So audience. Okay. Audience overview is something that will tell you a overview of data about the audience that has come to your website. So you can always have an option where you can select the time range, and you can see the data. For example, I'm seeing the March data, and so you can see there are user, there are new user, there are sessions, the number of session per user, page views, pages per sessions. Okay, so what it does is, so I'll tell you each and every details about it. What is users? Uh, so a user, um, you can consider as an internet user who is looking for your product and services and saw your website details on Google search results, and it will just they will come to your website, and with the help of JavaScript, what you have added via Google Analytics code, it will consider Google Analytics will consider it as one user. Now, new users. So let's say if I come to Tally website maybe 5 times in a day, and there are other users who are coming just once in a day. So how Google Analytics tracks is based on the cookies that is being placed on your local system. So every time when Google see the cookies is present, so it considers it as users. But a new user would be, let's say I have come to a website for the first time in my history on this particular website, it will consider me as a new user. But let's say if I come to the website once again on the very next day, so it will not consider me once again as a new user, but it will consider me as a normal user, which will fall under this. So this you can always therefore as unique visits, unique user, and a normal user. So unique user is very simple. A user will be calculated only once with the lifetime in a first time user that has come to your website. A user who have come to your website twice or thrice will be considered under users and sessions. What would be the difference of these three is how Google differentiate the details between this is. So let's say if you have used Google sorry incognito mode on your browser and landed on the website, so it will consider it as one-time user. Remember, the moment you close the session on the website, the cookies dies there. So you can set the cookies up to 1 day cookies, 2 days, 1 week, a month, or maybe 6 months, so and forth. It completely uh, defined defined by us by a website owner when creating a web while creating a website. Now, what is a let's say if I'll go forward from from user to news and to sessions. So session is also very much uh, similar to our users, wherein it sees a returning user on your website. It how you can differentiate that is a lot, or let's say more than 5 times or 10 times, right? If we consider under sessions, and it also depends on the day and the time in the website. So always remember that when you are using any of your information or any of your, so when you are providing any information on your website in terms of cookies, it is very much advisable that keep cookies of about a week or so. Most of the people who keep a day user daily based cookies are used on your uh, for people who are running campaigns. All right, right. Okay, I think it's audible enough now. Great. So let's move forward. Um, yeah. So number of sessions per user is 1.57. What you see here, it tells you about uh, how frequently a user is coming, or a person or an internet user is coming to your website. So you can say more than a one time a user is visiting your website on a daily basis, uh, on a monthly basis you can say, because every time, so it's a monthly data, so it will tell you on a monthly basis a user come more than once. And what it denotes is either they are finding relevant information on your website, or they are seeking the information about your product and services, or they are every time they have some other information, you're providing such information on a daily basis, they are coming to the website and reading those. For example, Tally website gives you information on a lot of business guidance, accounting, ERP, and even for that matter, inventory, how to on how to basis. So we always try to upload new articles on a daily basis or on alternate days basis. It will, so to keep the website engaged with our, so to keep the user engaged with our website, and it will also help me to understand what kind of a content is being consumed by a user. How will you track it? I have further things which I will show you in my live demo. Now, page views. Um, a page views can be defined in a very simple term as once you landed on a website, which all page you are navigating. For example, I have landed to homepage. From homepage, I have gone to product page. From product page, I have gone to my blog pages. Under blog page, I have read 4, 5 blogs. Right. So so far, I have visited 7 to 8 pages. That call as
page views from my user. Now there are page views, there are unique page views. So again, differentiating between those two is again remain the same. A user who visit for the first time and see the pages at that particular time considered as a unique pages, wherein the moment a user coming for the second or third time, it will consider and view other pages considered as page views. Now pages per session. Every so once a user landed on your website, so how many pages they see on a single session? It could, let's say there are people who came to one page and they say, okay, fine, I got my information, they leave the website. But there are few users who will come to your website, they'll see the information and they get engaged with other. Let's say they came to balance sheet article. Now after reading the balance sheet, they said, okay, fine, there is some information about this software, let me go and read that as well. So after finishing that, he's keep engaged with some other content which will increase the number of pages per session based on the other users as well. Coming back to average session duration, so on an average, how much time a user is spending time on your website. So there are two kind of session duration. One is your page, and another one is your website. So the one which you are seeing here is telling you about the time that you have spent on a website. So on an average, there are people who are spending about 2 minutes 24 seconds. It's not that every user is spent 2 minutes 24 seconds. There are chances that one user come to a website, they just there on my website for a minute and they leave. There are few users who come to my website and they stay there for like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, or even for that matter, a few users who will be spending 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So on an average, this number of people, so 115 lakh people spending 2 minutes 24 seconds on my website in a month of March. Bounce rate. So bounce rate is very important thing that you should always consider when you have your website, because it tells you that how many people come to your website and out of which how many people have not just gone from the same page. So how you can define it as, to give you example, let's say I have landed on a website, landed on a particular page, I didn't see much information and I just close the tab and I move to other website. So that considered as bounce rate. Now let's say I have few pages on the after landing on the home page, so it will call as exit, because bounce it will happen from the point you have landed and the same point you have gone out from the website. You have not done any kind of activity on my website, hence it will consider as bounce rate. What information bounce rate provides here is how so after a user land on your website, are they actually engaged with the content that you are providing there, or the kind of product or service? Is it relevant enough for him or her? So if it is relevant, yes, of course they will go to they will explore the other pages and they will end up contacting you. But let's say if a person is not finding relevant topics or things that he or she is seeking for on your website, he will just close the website. So you have to understand what is that something that will uh, keep the user engaged with the relevant information. And the same thing I have also communicated in my last webinar, which was on search engine optimization. The higher the search relevancy happen, for your website, the chances of your website is higher to rank on Google search engine's result, because once Google starts seeing the relevancy of your website is not meeting the expectation of a user, it will start giving it will start giving you bounced on your website, as well as Google start giving demoting your website search results from your from their search engines. So it's always good practice to keep your website relevant for a user if they are seeking for certain information about your product and services. Even for that matter, if you're writing any kind of a blog, make sure it is relevant to your industry. That will make a user stay, and it will also uh, let user to engage with the content they are seeking information for. Okay, so once you know the overview, what I have mentioned about demographics earlier, what is demographic? It will tell you the age and gender overview. For example, on my website, uh, let's say 1 lakh people is landing on my website on a monthly basis. So what is the age group of them, right? So I can see from in our age bracket of 18 to 24, there are 23% of people who are landing my website. So let me take you to a advanced, not advanced, but overview of each and every part of it. Let's say, for example, age. So here are the age brackets, right? 25, 34, 18, 24. So you can see the age bracket and the and how many users are landing of that particular age bracket. What kind of a time they're spending on the website, whether they are actually finding my website relevant or not. And yes, so one more thing I have not mentioned about bounce rate is, so let's say a user landed on my balance sheet article page. He or she read the article and he got the information that he was looking for, right? So it will definitely increase the page session duration. But yes, if he or she has not made any kind of activity, or they have not done any kind of navigation on my website, it will still count as bounce rate. But how you can manage that? So you can set on Google Analytics saying if a user spend more than 2 minutes or 3 minutes on a page, is considered as a user and it should not consider as a bounce rate, right? So that option is also there. So there are people who come to a website and then again they go back to some other work that they are doing. So what happens is, if a user is idle and he or she is not moving his screen after landing to the page, right, it will consider as idle. And obviously the moment they'll come back to the page and they just exit or they just close the window, it will consider as bounce rate. So if a user have a active activity on while scrolling or while seeing other screens, it will consider as exit. Otherwise, it will consider as bounce rate. Okay, so this is the information about the age group, what kind of age group people coming to my website and taking the information or reading the information that we are providing based on their relevance. Now I'll come to the gender. So obviously gender is between male and female. How this data gets collected on Google Analytics is a behavior of, let's say if you're signed in on any of the browser. So all your information of that, consider your demographic, is captured by Google using the account that you are signed in on a browser and visiting or browsing the website. So let's say if you accessing it through incognito mode, it will not it will not, Google Analytics will not able to track any kind of information. For example, I'll tell you how. So if you see, there are only 4,16,000 people have come on my website in a month of March, wherein if I'll go to my overview, it says 10 lakhs. So there is a difference because so many people have not was not signed in on any of the browser, and they were not been captured. Google Analytics not captured their information about the demographic. So this is about the demographic. Now I'll quickly show you the geo information. Guys, I'm just taking you guys through information that will be very much important when you start just starting with Google Analytics. For advanced version, obviously you can explore, you can always see what kind of data is helpful for your businesses. So for me right now, what I see here or to what I'm showcasing it to you, it will be very much informative or very much important when you are creating your first website and start tracking the website data. So right now what I can see here is so many people, right? So always remember, it will, no matter what, it will collect your information about your geographical. How? It's based on your IP addresses. It's not something that Google will tell you the individual IP address. If a person is using my website sitting in US, it just tracks the IP address, and there are many IP addresses which belongs to US based on their starting IP. So based on that, Google tracks your geographical data. So Google Analytics never provides you a single user data from where this person has come, which source, which city they belongs to, and their individual information. But it will tell you the information about as a geographical, right? Okay, so on my India website, the majority of user coming on my website is from India first, right? But then also it follows by United States, UAE, the Nepal. Now, what is not said? So there are Google have released certain privacy and policy, right, where it will not capture the information of a user if he or she is using it on a private private browser, or maybe they are using it via something some other devices which Google is not able to figure. So obviously it will consider under not set. So these are the information you will get it from a geolocation, that what how many people are coming from which country. Now if you wanna even go further, okay fine, I understand so many people are coming from India, but which places are those? So I'll just go to India and I'll click on India. It will show me these are the regions where they are coming from. So for example, it could be Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Delhi, right? So and forth. Now, if I have to see it further, that what kind of other information I'll get it from here is obviously, so it will not tell you the I mean each and every places of it, but let me show you the cities traffic for it. For example, there are so many people coming from Maharashtra, but which places, which location they have located. So I'll just click on city, and he'll tell me the city wise data. For example, so many people are coming from Mumbai. There are so many people coming from Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, and so and so. So always remember, if you are running any kind of ads, or if your business is based out of in Mumbai or Gujarat or maybe Bangalore, so just go to your location and see from which location or which city people are accessing your website, right? So if your business is located in just Bangalore, and the majority of people are coming outside Bangalore, do drill down the information from what kind of content they are seeking, what kind of data they are actually consuming on your website, whether it's a, so if they are coming on your website to a blog section, it's okay, it's good, because you definitely want to reach out to as many as user on your blog section, because you're providing information there. But uh, when it comes to your product and services, see how many people are actually coming from your native place, which means uh, by that I mean Bangalore, and how many people are actually filling the form, or maybe how many people are contacting you directly using your phone or email ID. So this is all about geographical behavior. Is something I can probably say, as I have mentioning every time, why user comes, how many user comes more than once, or more than two, or more than 5 times, or 10 times. So this is how you will see. So new versus returning user or visitor. Okay, new visitor and returning visitor. So out of so many users, eight out of 1 million users, there were like 8 lakh people who were the new user for on my website, wherein there are 3.5 lakh people who came twice, or they came my website even more than one time. So what is the frequency of it? So frequency of it is something that I can show it to you. Frequency and recency. So count of session. So one So a user made one session, how many times? It's 8,17,000. Wherein more than one time count, there are people who came twice on the website. The numbers are 2,45,000. Similarly, more than three times or three times, there are so many reasons, so and forth. So these are the information, or the information that will be really helpful for you when you are seeing how many people are coming, how many times on my website. Also, one more thing though is, um, I'll show you engagement. Okay, now let's say a session, during one session, right? So many people were in your website for only 0 to 10 seconds. Now there are few users who are like, let's say, uh, more than a lakh user were on my website more than 61 to 180 seconds, which means a minute, more than a minute to 3 minute time period. And I mean, generally, if you go further, you will see there are people who are like 21,000 people who are there on my website more than 30 minutes. So either they were using some kind of blog, they were reading blog, they were like, just enhancing, and they were just doing some kind of research. So this is how you channelize or utilize this information, which will be really helpful for you when you are trying to map the website traffic that you are getting through your website. Okay. So let me come back to mobile directly, because this is one of the very important part where our generation is moving towards. So mobile devices will give you information. The users that are coming on my website, they are coming from which all devices they are using. So from desktop, there are 6.5 lakh people who are visiting my website, wherein there are more than 3 lakh people who are using mobile and tablet. I mean, there are very less people, like 3,000 or 4,000 people. Similarly, what devices they use. So you definitely want to know. Now we have Android, we have iOS, we have Linux, and so on and forth. So obviously you want to see from which devices my website is getting more hits from. So yeah, here it is. Apple iPhone, there are so many people, there are Xiaomi, right? So all these devices will get captured on Google Analytics, but not the exact information about the user. It will just give you an overall overview details of a particular devices, but not the user information. All right. So far, so what I'll do is I'll take a small break here just to understand if you guys have any kind of a question on audience and setting up Google Analytics. Also, we have two topics. There are three topics here which I will cover in maybe half an hour or so, and we'll move to Google Console. So yeah. Okay. So just quickly see if there are any questions. Okay, so Karthik asked this age, gender information from where it captures. So, sir, it captures. So, let's say a user is logged in to his browser account. Let's say a Google account. He or she is logged in and browsing any kind of any of the websites. So, Google the tracking code, the JavaScript is written in such a way where it collects the information about those users and it displays under demographic. Smile, I have a question. At the beginning of session, it was announced records of this webinar. Um, Ismail, we are recording this data and this webinar, and we will be sharing once it is, the editing of the video is done. We will share it through email. Manu Jain has a question. There are more than 1 million visitors spending less than 10 seconds. Is it not too low? Um, So, Manoj, there are a lot of people on Tally website comes to download the latest version of Tally. So, obviously, once they download the software, they will just go off the website and they install and they start working on it. So, yes, it is too low to engage, to keep those people engaged. You can give them information about how to use the software and how you can further, you can keep giving the information about the software, what it does, and about the features, which will keep them engaged on the website. Karthik, I have a question again on the from previous question. It can be Gmail or any email ID. So if you're logged in on a browser through your Google account or through Yahoo account or through any of the account, it will collect the information if you allows it. So if you're using incognito mode or if your browser is not signed into any of your email ID, it will not track any of your demographic user information. Say for example, age or even for that matter your gender. Okay, so John have asked question. Can you find out how many have downloaded Tally student version during a period? So we can just so John, we can track how many download has happened, but we cannot track how many student version people have downloaded because during the trial period we give them information about how you can get started with the Tally software. Dharam Raj was here any possible to track user IP address? Sorry, Dharam, as I have mentioned earlier, Google does not track any individual user IP addresses, but yes, with the help of IP addresses on their database, they give you information of a user, which you can see it on geolocation. Okay, so I don't see any further questions, so I'll quickly continue with the further details, where I have left as acquisitions. All right, so acquisition overview, which I will consider to see it as channel. So right now you can see under channel you have default channel groupings, you have acquisition details, you have behavior, and you have conversion. So what are default channel groupings? So default channel groupings is something that I can say here is organic search, which people coming directly from any search engines uh, without any ads, without seeing any ads. So for that matter, if I have to mention, let's say if I'm searching for how to create an invoice in Tally, right? And my Tally website have written those articles, and those articles shows up on the search engine result. Once I click on that and come to the website, it will consider as organic source, where you are not spending single amount from your pocket, or you are not running any ads on those. Now, what is direct? So direct is very simple. You guys know what is Tally Solution website link. So what you do is you just go to open the browser, you say tallysolution.com, and you landed on the website. So those are called direct. So how you can also land is, so a lot of people create bookmarks of the website who land directly from directly from that bookmark, they land on that particular section or particular page of the website. So those users are called direct traffic. Others I'll explain after all this, because there is something that we should go in a flow. So now, taking for that matter, display. Display is something where you might have come across a lot of places where you are seeing display ad, banner ads, right? For example, let's say if you are on any news channel, you will see a lot of banner, right, about some or other advertisement. So those are display ads. What we in our technical term we say Google Display Network. So those are called display channel. Then you have paid search. Paid search are Google AdWords search is a search ads where you uh, drive traffic to your website using Google search ad. For example, if I'm looking for accounting software, and any uh, ad that appears for a product, for example, there are competitors of Tally, for example, ClearTax, or maybe Zoho, or maybe QuickBooks, right? And but Tally is there, and you will see them, and you click on that, and they land you to a particular page, right, of Tally page. So it will consider as uh, paid source, because you are clicking on an ad and coming to my website. It's not that you have searched on Google and you have come to my website organically, but it will not be paid search if you have used search result term which has been displayed right after ads. So how Google display search result based on your queries is, there are first 3 or 5 section on the top mention will be of your ads. Then further down you have Google organic search listings. So if you have clicked on ads, it will come under paid search. If you have clicked on organic search results, it will come under organic search. Now referral. So referral is let's say your website details are listed on other website apart from your own. For example, let's say Hindustan Times, or maybe your story, or there are few website who have written something about your website or your business. So once the people see and clicks on that particular link, right, and land on your website, they consider as referral traffic. They will fall under referral traffic, which which will, in a straight in a layman word, I have to say, your website detail is listed on any of your third party website, and coming traffic is coming from those website to your website, will be considered as referral. Social, any traffic coming to your website through any of the social channel, can be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn for that matter. Email, email will be considered as, so we send a lot of emailer to our partner, our customer. So and we do give our website link as well as social channel link. So let's say if a user from my email, they see my website link and they come from emailer to my website, they will fall under email traffic link. So they are coming directly from the emailer. Now, as I mentioned, others and other advertising. So when you are running any kind of ad, or if a user is coming from a channel which is not listed among all of these, will fall under others. Similarly, if a user is not, if a user coming to any other channel, but it's a paid channel and has not been categorized under any of this, come under other advertising. So it's very so once you start reading about what is organic search and reading, so there is something called auto tagging in Google AdWords. So I'm sure when you have a Google AdWords webinar, as I mentioned earlier, Zico from our team will be taking you through and explain you each and every part of it. Now you definitely, so this is how you will see what, from where or from which source my website the user are coming on my website, coming back on. So all this are information about your campaign, your social details, and even for that matter Google Ads. Search Console, if I don't want to show it to you here because there are Google Console as well that I have to cover up in my this session. So I will take you in Google Console tool where all these details are mentioned or listed. So explaining something about that. Now I'll quickly take you guys through behavior. Behavior is something that you want to see a behavior of a user once they land on your website, what all they do. Right, so this is the overview of your site page. So this is the home page link, then download. There are so many people are coming to these pages. So if you have to see it in a more advanced or more so you have to see to take any kind of insights on this or in a more detailed way, go to site content and say all pages. So the same view you will get it in a more detailed and more advanced way. Let's say, as I mentioned, say for example, these are my home page. So link. So this is my download page. Why it is not showing any of my website URL? Because you have added all your website URL information on Google account and Google Analytics accounts and properties. So it will not show you the whole website URL, but definitely it will just show you the slug of the page. So this is my download page. So you can see here, this time it is mentioned page views and then unique page views. As I have mentioned earlier, the difference between page views and unique page views, I'm just skipping that. And I'll take you here, which I have mentioned, average time on page, which I have earlier, which I have clearly mentioned you that there are two types of time spent or duration, session duration. One is average session duration and another one is average time on page. So now average session duration is something that the time on an average people spend on your website. This will tell you on an average how much time a user on an average have spent time on this particular page. For example, on download page, there are people who have spent more than 2 minutes 51 seconds. There are and then the how many entrants. So entrants and this I will take you back on the landing pages, but I'll just quickly show you take you through what exactly is average page on time on page, and then you have bounce it and exit. So on a home page, see my people who are landing on the home page are out of so many people, there are 37 or 38% people you can consider. They just go off from my home page. They don't further navigate on my website. Wherein once they land on the website after going through multiple pages, the people who exit from homepage are so many. For example, 43% people. So they have gone through my blogs, they have gone through my product features, and they have explored every other section of the website. And finally, they come to homepage and from there they exit. So they will not consider as bounce rate of my website, who are not spending any time on a page on my website, but they are directly they are after navigating from 2-3 pages or more than that, they come to a home page and then they exit from my website. Okay, so this is what information here you will get. Now I'll just quickly show you what is landing page. So landing page is very important for a person or a business owner who are writing blogs, who are running ads, who are who are putting a lot of information on their website in terms of creating a lot of contents about product feature or information. So if you have to see here, so these are the information people came from all the sources. So don't consider as that people are coming only from organic or ads or referral, but it consists of everything. But let's say if I have to make a check on this particular page, GST state code, how many people have come from this on this page, from which all sources. Okay, so this, just go here and see the source of this landing page. Okay, see, so here you can see there are people who have come from Google, there are people coming directly, there are people coming from Yahoo search engine, Bing search engine, right? So same way you will see a lot of people visiting to your website from different sources. Now I'll quickly give you guys an overview, a small sneak peek that yes, there are people who come from other channels as well, which also relates to your paid ads. Say for example, online reports, the campaign that we have run for our 6.6 Tally 6.6 browser report. Okay, so I'll click on this and I'll get the information on from which all sources people have come to this particular page. I'll go to source and it will tell me the exact source and medium. So yeah, so go for secondary, source and medium, and see the information. So there are people who have come from Google display ads. There are people who have come directly from Google search ads. So you are aware what is Google search ad, what is Google display ads, right? So I'm not taking you guys there. But again, similarly, what is the performance that has happened for that? It's all listed down here. So everything I have clearly explained you guys is what the explanation of each and every activity and how you can grab this information and utilize this information to take any kind of a decision. Now, if you guys remember, I have also given you guys the site search information while setting up the Google Analytics. So site search is something that will get stored here. So once I have set up the Google, when I have set up the site search on my Google Analytics setup, it will all showcase it. Since we have not done any kind of search here for this particular view, it will not throw any kind of information, but first there are few information that you can search within sites. So we really don't have any search information that requires for this particular filtered view, because it's purely for our information that we get to see how many people have come from which all sources and what are information they have. So this is where you will get all the kind of information about the site search. And since my search is disabled on this account, it will not be visible. So until I enable it. Okay, so quickly take you guys through conversion, because I have also explained you what all information you can see. So let's say if you want to track the number of users who came to your website and they have tried contacting you as a lead, or they have filled up a form for a product demo or anything, right? So I've created a goal where I can see that. I can see it here. So I'll just say overview. Okay. So let's say I want to see the goal of India leads. Okay, so India leads have 34 leads completed from GST, and thank you page. So these are the thank you page that we have added there as a goal, so that it started tracking here in my Google Analytics. So similarly, when you set up a goal on Google under Google Analytics, it will throw you all the search information or the goal captain information. But remember one thing, it will just show you the numbers. But if you want to see the data of those users, definitely you have to go to your website database where you can grab all the information and can get in touch with your user who have actually filled up the form with all the information. Now, this is all about Google Analytics to start off with, and please feel free if you have any question, please write down on the question chat. I'll quickly go through. So it's 4:26. I'll take the question on Google, any Google Analytics question till 4:30, and quickly jump to Google Console because I've finished that as well, and I'll make sure I'll take all the questions whichever comes even after even while I'm taking Google Console. Okay, Manujan have a question. Something is still not right. Downloads is 15%, but users spending less than 10 seconds have more than 65%. Is it all paid hits? So Manoj, a user can come to any of your page where the information that also includes your lead pages where people we drive people from paid ads and they see the information and they fill the information and when you see there are so many people come for so many time only for a small period of time and they have so many they have uh, uh, the bounce rate is 65%. So if a person is coming to a page, downloading information and just leaving, obviously it will consider as bounce rate. But if they are making any kind of activity for that matter, let's say they filled up a form and then they view the page, yes, it will not consider as the bounce rate. It will consider as exit, and also it give me a leads there. Mukesh Ranjan, you mean we have to most create a thank you page in our website? No, Mukesh. Create thank you page only for the page where you are collecting the information of a user, which can give you leads. For example, let's say on Tally, so you have a page where Tally 9 product or services is something that a user is looking for, and you can give a form there where they can fill it up and get in touch with you. So it's not necessary that everywhere you have to create multiple thank you page. You can create one thank you page or on your contact us or pages where you want to generate leads from. Sanjeev Devnath, since I had joined little late, can you please show how to open Google Analytics page? Sir, you just search Google Analytics and it will take you to Google Analytics uh, uh, home screen. Obviously, you have to sign in with your Google account, which will and sign up for your website. So it will take you to any which we are recording the webinar. So we will share it with you guys, and you can probably go through it. Snehal Parik, after what period should you be analyzing your website? Your website is just started. Snehal, I would suggest, so once your website is ready, you have added the tracking code, try checking every alternate days to see if, people are coming to your website and Google Analytics is tracking your data correctly. Because most of the time what happens is you um, Google Analytics, you might just miss one small commas or maybe certain part of Google Analytics code, and you can see the code is there on the website, but it's not tracking anything. So make sure you track in the first few days regularly. But after that, once in a week or twice in a week, if you check the kind of traffic is delivering and what kind of detail is capturing there. Okay, guys, there is one more question I'll take here now and then quickly move to Google Console. Mukesh Ranjan have asked how to grab leads from Google Analytics. We have need we need a CRM or it's just viewed in it. So Mukesh, so when you're creating a website, you will also build a database where it will store your data. So for example, if you have created any kind of form on your page, right? So you don't really don't need a database for it, but once a person or a user fills up the form, you can always give them a detail that once the form is filled successfully, the information about that user should come to my email ID. So you really don't need a database for that. And Google Analytics will not help you to generate any kind of leads for that matter. It just tracks the website activity that happens. All right. That's it for now. I'll quickly move to Google Console and show you how to utilize Google Console that matter because it tells you about your website health. Okay. So this is my Google Console profile, and how do I use it? It tells me each and every health related of my website details. For example, how my website is performing as a or how a user is able to grab the information about my website detail. For example, if I have to mention, let's say if there is any error occur in my website, so how am I supposed to handle those? How am I supposed to fix that, and what kind of error? So as a user from Google Analytics, you will not be able to see it. But so once you have set up Google Console on your website, it will tell you that these are the website, these are the pages which are throwing errors while loading on the browser for any user. Now, how to set up is very simple. Just give your website, uh, uh, just give your website URL details and just add and verification option. I will see if I can quickly show you that as well. Okay, so it is. So okay, so let's say if you have to add any, just go here. You can add data. You can say, okay, fine. What is domain? I'll say tally. Webinar. Let's say continue. It will take me. So okay, this is what I was talking to you earlier. Either you copy paste this snippet on your head of the page, or you can use Google Analytics. So you have option here. Okay. So which data, how you want to get that? Okay. Yeah. So any DNS provider, your service provider details here, and you can probably just add those on the website, and you're ready to go. But let's say if you have details about your website and you have Google Analytics set up for this, it will tell you right here how will you so if you want to verify your account with the help of Google Analytics, select that and just say verify, and you are all set to go. Okay, so once you set up this account, once your verification is done, you will land here. You will land on the overview page. So how will you grab information from here? So you'll see there are a lot of details here mentioned as search result, discover, then you have coverage, you have enhancements. Okay, so I will take you how Google search works. So search result, if you see, there are a lot of people who are coming from this keyword. Now, with this keyword, this is a query, and if you see here, it says clicks and impressions. So, what is the difference between clicks and impression? So, always remember the impression of any query will anytime higher than the clicks, because every time, let's say if I search for a particular query, the result that will display to me is called as impression, wherein the clicks will be considered or counted once you click on that particular link, okay, of any of the search result that has been displayed. So let's say people have searched Tally solution so many times, they were like 1,88,000 were my impression, wherein there are like 1,39,000 people only clicked on that link. So it could be people have also seen search for Tally solution for maybe math, or for maybe telehealth, or maybe something else, or maybe they're looking for software or something, right? So they will see that and they'll click on that information, or maybe ads. Similarly, the product name, download, tally solution, right? So these are the queries. There are n number of queries that you will see. You can always download this information right from here. You just click on export, and one click it will all get downloaded with the same version. Now, which all pages is being they are landing on? So here are the page. So these are the pages which they which appeared on search result. Say for example 22 lakh sign, right? But wherein there are only 5 lakh 26,000 people who have actually come to this page after seeing so many impressions, right? It could so there are various way that when you search for tele solution, it will display your home page link, it will display your download link, so it will throw up impression for all the pages, but the credit will take only for a page which has been clicked on, right? So this is the difference between impression and clicks. Countries, devices, these are all the same. What you have seen on your Google Analytics, similar thing will be shown here, because it's uh, uh, both are connected. The good part, what you have to see here is what you really have to keen on. Always remember URL inspection. Why is that so? So let's say you have recently uploaded 5 articles. Now, out of those 5 articles, each individual article have their own unique URL for that. And you want to see if those pages are actually listed on Google or not, right? So you just go to URL. I'll just quickly take an example of this. Okay, say let me do a spreadsheet. The information and I'll click. So it retrieves the data from Google Index, whether Google have indexed those pages or not, and if it is indexed, whether it's there or not, right? And for that matter, it will also tell me whether, see, it says URL is on Google, which means yes, if someone is searching for this shortcut keys for Tally, this article will appear on the search result. But remember one thing. So let's say if you will see this, and then you also have an option where you can test the live URL. So once you click on this, it takes some time, about 5 to 7 minutes, to see if the same URL is available on uh, indexing or not. If it is there, it will throw up the same result as yes, it is there, and will show you the information on when it has got indexed last, cached last by the Google bot. And if it is not, so it will tell you the errors about that page, whether you have added robots to disallow this page from Google Index, whether this page is redirecting from this page to another, right? It will tell you all this information. So once you see any kind of error, try to fix it immediately, because that will help you to optimize or to get your content visible on search result immediately. Okay, So, okay, so all this information is right here. So it says everything is green, so you don't have to worry. The moment you see any kind of a red flag here, right, make sure you fix it as soon as possible, because that is where Google bot is not able to crawl, or Google bot is throwing error while displaying the search result. So this is the best example in Google inspection, URL inspection on Search Console, which can be displayed as, or which can be utilized in for particular each and every page of your website. Coming back to coverages. Now, coverages has a very unique role to play here. So now, as I was mentioning, what kind of a health of your website? How's your website health? And now you can see there are so many errors, right? But there you also see there are valid and there are excluded. So what you can do is you can see if, let's say, your website have more than 150 pages. Maybe your website have 100 pages, right? So everything, all the pages details will be here. So the moment it'll say how many valid links are there on my website, or how many pages has been indexed by Google, are so many, right? So it will tell you those information. So it's always good to see how many people. So submitted and indexed, there are 752 pages, and indexed but not submitted in sitemap are 680. So this is where your sitemap, XML sitemap plays a big role. As I mentioned in my previous webinar, XML sitemap is mainly for the Google bot to crawl your each and every single page of your website. Okay. Similarly, submitted by index and submitted and indexed, which means these links are present on my XML sitemap, which I have added on my root folder of the website. Now, to other sitemap. So once you uploaded your sitemap of your website, okay, make sure you have a root folder link. For example, this is the link of my GST. Okay, for GST sitemap. So I'll just copy this. So let's say most of the time what happens is your XML sitemap will be visible as tallysolution.com/sitemap.xml. This is what the file looks like. So once you upload it, this is your link. And if you're, let's say, if you're not able to see this link, what you can do is you can ask your website developer, whoever is developing the website for you, to share the link with you. So it will share you exact link of sitemap. Now, since I've already given my website details here, tallysolution.com, right? I don't have to provide it again. I have to just provide the slug of that particular location for sitemap. So this is what I'll submit, and once I submit it, it will tell me whether or not how many links you have added under this XML file, and which all pages you have there. So once you click, it will show you like this. Also, when, let's say, while submitting, you have the sitemap XML file what you have uploaded is not correct, is not according to, and it has some error while loading it. Instead of success, you will see it will start throwing up errors. So make sure when you submit this, the status always show up as success. Otherwise, it will be. Otherwise, it will not be considered as the URL is, or the XML file is submitted successfully, or the URL what you have added in XML will not be visible here. Okay. Quickly, enhancements. Enhancement is something once you see the URL inspection, so all these details will be mentioned. So what you can do is you can always have this option. Do the URL inspection of your website. See what all enhancements is required, whether it's mobile responsiveness, whether it's required your breadcrumb of your website is not correct, your speed is speed is too slow, right? It will show you all the details. So yeah, this is what the enhancements are for, right? Mobile usability, breadcrumb. Mobile usability is one more thing where, let's say you have a website which is not responsive, which is not made for phone user, smartphone user, right? So what it does is so the moment you submit it, it'll show you that say that the URL what you have submitted is not mobile usability friendly. So it's not mobile responsiveness. How will you fix it? By making it mobile responsive. Once you add that and again search it here, so it will tell you whether the responsiveness what you have added for my website is working properly or not. And remember, whenever you make any kind of a changes on your website, you should always remember to come and index it here. Now, for example, I'll show you quickly this same URL. So once you retrieve the data information, let's say you have added a blog on your website, and the URL is generated. Please come here, do an inspection of that URL, and give it for indexing. So once you say request indexing, you are sending a Google bot a request that please crawl this particular page on my website that I have added, which is set to, which is something a very important role of Google Search Console that allows you to request Google. Now, security manual, these are settings you really don't have to go through. But yes, first, when it comes to any kind of enhancement, please look after this. And please feel free to write any kind of question that you have so far on Google Analytics or Google Search Console. I'm happy to answer that here right now, because I don't think anything else is left out for this on this webinar where I can give you any further information. So when you start off with this, so these are the basic checks and basic information that you have to always look for. Yeah, so please go ahead and you can ask all the queries that you have regarding this. Okay, Malik Umar, what if people are landing on our website but analytics is not tracking it up? Okay, so Malik, I believe the analytics code is not added on the page. So make sure when you add the tracking code, you add it throughout all the pages what you have in your website. Otherwise, it will not track the information wherever the code is missing. And how do you find it? You just go to your website source and check your analytics tracking code what you have added. So that will let you find the information whether the code is there or not. Dharamraj, it's webmaster tool. Yes, earlier it was formally it was known by Google Webmaster Tool, wherein Google like a couple of years back they changed the name as Google Search Console. Vidyashri, how do I get Google to recrawl my site faster? So Vidyashri, if you remember on my last webinar, I have mentioned when you are uploading XML sitemap, you can set the frequency of your website updates based on daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So basis on which when Google bot crawls your XML file, right, it will see how frequently you make the changes. But make sure if you are mentioning that you make changes on your website on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you actually do, because once they see Google start seeing that there is no changes that happen as per mentioned time, as per mentioned frequency, it will start it will not take it, the frequency will go down, and eventually it comes maybe once in a month or maybe once in a year. Vidyashri, can I see data for top pages and search query for the past year? Yes, Vidyashri, you will see the data of all the information about your website. If your website had Google Analytics code added on your website from the time you are looking for, you always have to check the time period that or the date range that you have selected for the query and whether your website were existing at that particular time, along with Google Analytics code there. Manoj, is sitemap existing website all pages you all submit compulsory? Okay, Manoj, if I'm not correct it understood wrong, you must be asking whether you should include all the website links on your sitemap. So yes, you should include all the URLs of your website on the XML sitemap. That will help Google what to crawl it in one go, or based on the frequency it comes to your XML site, or index the sitemap of your website. Malik Omar, when will be Advanced Google Analytics webinar? Malik, we will keep you posted with that. Hopefully it will happen soon. Afzal, how Google Console works? What are its benefits? So, Afzal, Google Console works purely, it will tell purely about the health of your website, wherein it will be it will tell any kind of error that happens on your website. It will just give you an alert on your email that is being registered for. And the benefits of that is you can inspect your, you can see what kind of queries are coming for your website that are driving traffic. It will tell you whether your mobile is whether your website is mobile friendly or not. It will also tell you whether your website URL is there on Google search or not. Right. So these are the benefits, and there are a lot of benefits. If you start using it, you will start getting into it. Snehal, can you give us reference reading material links for Google Analytics as well as Google Console, which would help us going deeper on its usage? Yes, of course, Snehal. We will be sharing the link where you can find most of it. So all the information that you need for Google Analytics from basic to advanced, as well as for Google Console as well. Mukesh Ranjan, if we purchase domain from GoDaddy and website hosted in other server, which DNS provide to Google search index? So there's nowhere it mentioned that you will need a particular DNS server that will provide Google search index. It's all based on how you have optimized your website, how well you have kept your website clean and clean for the Google search in what to index your website. Weber, how many sitemap we have to submit? Weber, there are two types of sitemap. One is XML sitemap, one is HTML. XML is for Google bots, wherein as sitemap, HTML sitemap is for the normal internet user. So you can submit to sitemap. You can submit XML sitemap only for Google bot, and if you want to keep sitemap for a normal user, you can keep that as well. It will be helpful for your website to get more visibility. Mukesh, for sitemap XML, we have to create a file and put it on hosted server location or anything else. Correctly said, Mukesh. You have to create an XML file. There are a lot of online tool available on Google. You can search and you can create a XML file there, and you can host it or you can upload it on your server. You don't have to do any other action, but make sure when you're uploading it, you should know the URL path for it so that you can submit it on Google Console. All right, okay, so I don't see any further question here. I hope the webinar is helpful and informative for you guys. So I'll say a goodbye, but at the same time, I will request all of you guys to please take the survey post the webinar ends. It will help us to improve our content, what we are providing to you guys. As well as when we'll come next time, we'll make sure those information, we will meet the expectation what you guys are actually looking for. So yeah, so there is no further question. So thank you so much, guys, and stay home and stay safe, and have a good day again.